You're listening to the Proposify Biz Chat with Kyle Racky, a podcast for entrepreneurs looking to scale. This episode is brought to you by Proposify, software that streamlines your proposal process, impresses clients, and helps you close more deals. Head to proposify.com to start your free trial today.
Hello, everyone. I am Kyle Racky, and this is the Proposify Biz Chat, where we're talking to other entrepreneurs about how to scale your business. Today on the show, I have John Doherty, who's been on in the past. He joined us as a guest, I think about 6 months ago, talking about basically his company Get Credo, which is, or Credo, getcredo.com. Credo is the name of the company, and they're kind of like a Tinder, a matchmaking service for agencies and people who are looking for SEO and marketing agencies. John is joining us back on the show today to talk about SEO for startups. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me back.
I'm really glad you came back. You were an excellent guest the first time, so I always like great people coming back and not being turned off by my lack of professionalism, like when I hit the hang up button instead of the record button.
Well, as long as you don't mind that I'm, the business mullet right now of business up top and sweatpants on the bottom, work from home life.
As I told you, as long as there's pants, I don't care what kind they are, but
pants are on.
I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that, you were just going commando down there. Well, maybe you are. Maybe there's nothing under those jogging pants.
Who knows? We'll leave it up to the listener, right?
All right. So I'm really excited about the topic today because we could definitely use a little bit of advice. Our company Proposify traditionally done very well with SEO. We took a bit of a hit when we switched from .biz to .com late last year. A bit of our SEO dropped. And so I think for anybody who either has a SaaS company or maybe they're an agency who does marketing consulting for other SaaS companies, it would be great to pick your brain on this and kind of go through some stuff around SEO. So
absolutely. I'm also going to pull up your site within Ahrefs, one of the tools that I use all the time. Oh. And we can even talk about a little bit of that. What do you think?
Do a live audit.
Yeah, why not?
Sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess maybe first of all, do you find that startups, and I guess when I say startup, I'm primarily talking about SaaS companies, do they tend to undervalue SEO or just not generally know enough about it, or do they not invest early enough? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends on the stage of the company. So I used to live in San Francisco. I obviously run my own company and have been in SEO for quite a while, almost a decade now. And so a lot of the startups that I personally have been in contact with, founders that I know, that sort of thing, when you're just getting off the ground, you're just trying to do whatever it takes to keep the lights on, right? Whether that's like trying to close a round of funding or getting more customers or whatever. And SEO is a long burn. It's a long play for sure. You can't just with PPC or Facebook ads, you can't just say, okay, let's spend $100 a day or $1,000 a day and know it's going to convert at whatever percentage and get those customers. Like SEO is an investment over time. So what I see is I see a lot of founders trying to do SEO or thinking about SEO early. Then they're told, basically by like investors or whoever, like, don't prioritize that. We need to get, to this next level, right? And especially when you're venture backed. When you're bootstrapping, you have a little bit more control, right? Like you're bootstrapped, I'm bootstrapped, or you were bootstrapped, until the raise. You have a bit more control and you can really invest towards that long term, right? Balancing the short term, staying in business versus the long term.
VCs don't like the term long term. They don't like that phrase.
Totally. So yeah, we won't tell them that we had this conversation. So what
we didn't raise from VCs, FYI.
Oh, good for you.
We raised from, I think the local term for these guys is super angels because they're raising venture capital kind of money, but they're angel investors.
Right. Gotcha. Awesome. But yeah, so a lot of companies, that are just starting off, I talk to, startups that are like, they might be a year in or something like that. And they're like, we know that SEO is a long play, but just give us the 6 or 7 tips that are going to take us to the next level. And I'm like, that's not, really how it works. When I talk to companies that are in about Proposify's situation, right, that's when startups really start getting and at that point, I guess you're still a startup, but like you're a real business. You have customers, you have employees, et cetera. You have operations person, you have a VP of sales, like, you have a marketing person, you're a legit company. That's when when startups really start thinking about growth through SEO, because you have a business that works. And you can say, okay, if SEO converts at, or organic traffic converts at this, our competitors are beating us for X, Y, and Z terms, right? Proposal software for small businesses, proposal software for contractors. You already have a site that's established. You can start to rank for those terms and start to get really targeted, free traffic that way, right? I put free in quotes because it takes investment up front in order to get that traffic, but then it stays, long term. I see a lot of, so basically to synthesize that, I see a lot of startups early starting to think about it, knowing that they should be thinking about it, but not able to invest in it yet. And then once a startup gets to about your phase, about Proposify's phase, that's about the time that you really need to start, thinking about it. Lay the groundwork earlier. Think about, don't build on Angular and not have a way to, not that anyone's really building on Angular these days anyways, but like, if you build on React, for example, make sure your server-side rendering and, there's a bunch of things that you need to do there to make it work. Like, set those basics so you don't have to go back and kind of redo your whole tech stack in order to make your site SEO friendly. Because if your site's not SEO friendly, you're long-term missing out on a big chunk of growth there.
And where a lot of SaaS, I mean, this is really into the weeds, but like where a lot of SaaS businesses are, usually the product is behind a login anyway. Parts of it may not be, but like I think it'd be beneficial to kind of anchor this around the marketing site, because at least in our case, you've got your marketing site with your feature tour and your pricing and maybe your blog and case studies and that kind of thing. And those really are kind of, I think, the main driver for the majority of SaaS businesses where, your site can be built on Angular or Node or anything like that. But it's really like, how do you kind of draw people to that, create your free account or log into your account page?
Totally. And I think that's a really good point. I actually used to really hate the term marketing site. I'm like, it's your website. And then once I actually really started getting into like having my own logged in app and all that, it totally makes sense, right? Because you can just expand so much more in a different technology stack logged in. And that does have some interesting implications. But yeah, you're right. We are just talking about your publicly facing site that brings in new potential customers and then converts them in, and then of course you pass them over to being logged in and using your actual app. So yeah, that's a very important delineation to make there. And just so search engines can't crawl logged in stuff.
Yeah.
So that's important to recognize.
With our product, so with Proposify, the only parts of the site that, other than the marketing site, that don't require a login are the proposal previews, because we don't want, if you're sending a proposal to a client, you don't want them to have to create an account or log in to be able to view it. So we're always very careful around making sure those don't get crawled by search engines. So we've got like your no follow and your no index tags on those ones, because obviously people don't want their proposals to get found in a search engine.
Of course. Yep. Yeah. But there's definitely some interesting like opportunity there for you as well if you have templates, right? So you can have like consulting proposal template pages and, kind of build out that like bigger resource section, which is something that a lot of startups, especially a lot of SaaS startups don't do. They don't build out, resources. They don't look to like this longer tail of things that what are people higher in the, in the conversion funnel looking for? Yeah. So you start with the, proposal software, right? But then as you kind of start to tap that out, I'm even going through this with my own business right now. As you start to tap out those people that you're hitting they're ready to convert right now, then you start thinking about how do we expand that funnel? And SEO is really good for that, going from super top of funnel awareness stage, right? Just getting them to become aware. And then as they're going down, it's been shown that, okay, if you got them to come to your site searching for a consulting proposal template, right? Then when they search for proposal software, if you're ranking number 3, but they already know your brand, even if it's just like, unconscious in the back of their mind because they've been on your site before, they're much more likely to click through to you. So that really, that can help you. Even if you're not ranking number 1, you're still getting traffic if you're in number 3.
Mm-hmm. And what I think, I know I've read kind of your notes and sort of I'm jumping around a little bit. But one thing that I really like that you have to say is that brand wins in SEO. I know that's a huge part of our strategy, and the majority of traffic that comes to our site is either somebody directly typing in proposify.com or proposify.biz, but a lot of times they'll actually Google your company name. And so the majority of our customers come from somebody doing a Google search for Proposify. They already know who we are. And that's where it's like it's hard to control that outside of just trying to build a great product and a great brand, right?
Totally. And you know, Kyle, I think it's a trade, not a trade-off, but it's a balance. So when you're young, I mean, and I very much believe in obviously building a brand. I think, you know, having something that's brandable that people know people, I'm sure, search like Salesforce a lot more than they search like sales CRM, right? If you're thinking sales CRM, you're thinking Salesforce. Everyone knows Salesforce. Salesforce, though, is, you know, ginormous, right? But when it comes to like proposal software, there's a bunch of different people out there. So it's a combination, I think, of building that brand, you know, being at conferences and, you know, advertising and, you know, and those sorts of things, while at the same time not abandoning the non-branded stuff as well, right? Especially the longer tail non-branded stuff like consulting, proposal, templates, and that sort of thing, to get people familiar with your brand, right? And then you get them into download these templates, and then you can, you know, help them get to know your brand and bring them in. So yeah, it's definitely a combination there, but I do believe that long-term brand is what wins.
Totally. And you're right. The more long tail stuff is, it's the easiest to execute on, and if you do, like, a lot of them, they're scalable. And what I mean by that is that, like, for instance, if you search proposal software that integrates with Infusionsoft, I don't know, we'll probably show up for that, and maybe some of our competitors will, because we have landing pages for each third party that we integrate with. And the great thing with that is that, yeah, there might not be massive, like thousands of people a day searching for that, but even just getting 50 a day or 10 a day, that's so highly targeted, and you can grow that over time just by simply integrating with more third parties.
Right. Totally. Yeah, that's definitely, you know, a way to do it, as well as with, like, you know, like I'm looking at your proposal templates section here, right? You have an accounting proposal template, an advertising proposal template, AdWords, a PPC proposal template. Like, that's the sort of stuff that people are searching for, and that's the sort of stuff that, I mean, you can go and create those yourself, or you can start, you could figure out a scalable way to do that as well, right? And I bet this sort of stuff converts crazy awesome for you. So,
well, without giving any lurking competitors
too much away,
you know, I mean, we're pretty open with this stuff. So if people want to copy it, go ahead. But like, proposal templates is probably 80% of our SEO strategy. I mean, blogging is some of it. We definitely do some keyword research on our blog articles. Some of them convert very well. Some of the more boring articles, sorry, Jen, who wrote our number one ranking blog post is how to write an executive summary.
Awesome.
Boring topic, but man, there's a lot of people searching for it.
Yep. Mine on Credo is my number one visited page is my ways to drive traffic to your website blog post.
Wow.
That's my number one driving page from organic search. Because it's super top of funnel.
Is that because it's written in a very conversational, like the way people ask Google questions now?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I targeted that, like, how to drive traffic, you know, in year sort of keywords. Yeah, absolutely. It was written specifically for that. It's also useful, right? It has a ton in there. It's super long. It's probably 4,000 words, but, you know, it was written to target those specific terms. So I think that's an interesting point to bring up, in that you have your transactional queries, right? So for you, it's like proposal software for small businesses, that sort of thing. Templates is kind of like mid-funnel, right? They're like, it's someone that is already sending proposals, but they're not directly searching for, like, you know, to put in their credit card. You know, they're just looking for like ideas. Maybe they're looking for free templates, and then, you know, you have some work to do to convert them in. And then there's the higher, you know, like the people that aren't even sure, don't even know that there is proposal software out there, right? And so those are the ones, it's like, I mean, even the, like, how to write a proposal, right? Where to find a proposal ideas, you know, how to sell more consulting work, right? Because, like, people that are, you know, sending proposals are selling, you know, consulting work or closing sales deals or something like that. How to close more sales deals, right? Yeah. That's super top of funnel, but it gets your brand up there with them. And those people that are searching that are also people that are going to convert for you. So you hit them in the awareness, you hit them in the, you know, as they're getting a little bit more serious and looking for templates to use. And then eventually they're like, screw it, I'm just going to pay Proposify because I have all these templates in there. It's going to make my life easier.
Yeah.
So you're hitting them at all three levels, and that's full funnel SEO right there.
totally. You know, one thing that I was sort of struck by, and you probably know this already, but I was recently at Traffic and Conversion, and I saw, oh God, his name escapes me. Shoot. I'll have to edit in later when actually, he's a very notable blogger, worked on Copy Blogger, has his own website, John. I think his name also is John. He's in a wheelchair. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, is it JB Billingsley? Not JB. It's I don't know who you're talking about.
All right. I'll edit that in later or flash it on the screen. Yeah. Apologies to this awesome dude. But he basically talked about
John Morrow.
John Morrow?
Yes. Morrow, Morrow. Yeah.
Yes. Apologies, John, if you're listening. I doubt he is. No, great guy. I mean, super knowledgeable, one of the best in the world at
so smart
at what he does. But he talked about mid to end of the funnel or lower in the funnel content, because a lot of times we don't think about that. I think a lot of times people are really focused on their blog articles being very high level stuff. Like, a lot of the stuff we do on our blog is how to write a business proposal or how to get more leads into your funnel, stuff that people aren't necessarily searching for exactly what we do. But what's interesting is I think he had done some work with Zapier, or maybe it was just a case study of Zapier, how a lot of their high-ranking blog posts are very specific things like how to integrate Zapier with this, or a case study of how to do this. And it's like nobody's actually searching for that who hasn't heard of Zapier. But it's actually great at converting people who are already in your funnel. And his blog posts.
Right. Yep.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. He also talks about the basically content, the idea of content upgrades, right? I mean, and one thing I harp on a lot within the SEO world now is, and even myself, I was guilty of this for years, is, SEO is just more traffic. SEO is not just more traffic. SEO is a marketing channel that drives your business, right? So if you're just focusing on traffic, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And if you're a consultant and you're just selling like your client's traffic and have no idea like what value it's giving them, they're not going to retain you for long term. If you're a CEO, like you have to be thinking about, okay, if we invest in SEO and we get 50,000 more visitors a month, what's that actually going to mean for our business, right? And so like, how long is it going to take for us to be, if you've hired someone internally or you're paying an SEO consultant, like, couple grand a month, like how long is it going to take you to get back to ROI positive and investing in this channel, right? Yeah. That's what builds a business right there. And I think honestly, that's why a lot of SaaS companies, around like Proposify stage or maybe a little bit earlier than you, don't invest in it, because the SEO world hasn't done a good job of talking about SEO as a business case.
Yeah.
So, and John actually talks about, I saw something where he was talking about, basically you have content that drives it in, get them into your, he was talking about mid-funnel content, but he wasn't talking about it and from an SEO point of view. He was talking about from like an email point of view, case studies, that sort of thing, right? I think Zapier is a great way. It's more like informational, how to integrate Zapier and Drip, right? Or how to integrate like whatever, Drip and HubSpot CRM or Drip and Proposify. And there are a lot of different ways to think about that. It's not just top of funnel. Like that mid-funnel stuff matters a ton. And a lot of SEOs will think about the direct transactional keywords, the proposal software keywords, right? And then they'll think about the like how to create a business proposal, keywords. But they don't think about that middle side and what are you actually doing once you get them that top of funnel. Once you get them there, then what are you doing to keep them in, whether from search, from email, whatever it is.
Yeah. 100%. And I'll give you a good case study of how the difference between traffic and conversion, I guess, really is that what you're talking about is if SEO traditionally is just focused on driving traffic, but it's not solving your business problem, even though proposal templates are a big part of our strategy and they do drive a ton of search traffic, it actually accounts for a less valuable free trial. The free trial from a proposal template is less valuable than somebody just going to the homepage or looking at our feature tour, because that person is already thinking about and invested in proposal software, where somebody who comes to your free architecture proposal template, you get them into a trial easily, but then you have to educate them on, okay, here's actually where proposal software could solve your problem, and a lot of them bounce, unfortunately, but enough of them convert that it's still a worthwhile strategy. But it's a massive difference between those two personas, right?
Right. Totally. That makes sense. And actually, that's an interesting point in that there are a few different ways that you can do it, right? There's the resource side where it brings you in more traffic, helps your brand get better known. You convert them into an email list and then kind of bring them on down the funnel, taking them to your conversion page, that sort of thing. But, what a lot of SaaS startups don't do, a lot of SaaS companies don't really build out anything around there, like who are they for, right? So like proposal software for contractors, small businesses, consultants, et cetera. And then also, the specific features that you have, right? Proposal software that integrates with Stripe, right? That sort of thing. And all that's driven by your keyword research. But instead of just having one like full features page, these are the specific things that you're trying to do that proposal software will help you get there, right? So I think that's one area that's a ton of opportunity for a lot of a ton of companies.
Speaking of keyword research, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because I'm probably out of the loop now. In your opinion, who are doing it best from SEO SaaS tools? Because I know Moz has been around for a while. There's a lot of different tools. I think traditionally a lot of people have been still just using AdWords keyword tool to do keyword research. Is there anything new or anything that people should be checking out if they're actually looking for tools to help them with SEO?
Yeah, so there are a few, and I actually talk about this a fair bit in the SaaS SEO guide that I'm launching mid-April. Oh, cool. But it's going to be like 15,000. It's basically the SaaS SEO Bible. It's going to be awesome. Wow. But I have a whole section on keyword research. But basically the tools that I use are, so on the paid front, I mainly use Ahrefs right now. Ahrefs, basically the RF link. Yeah. Code. I use that. And then actually a free Chrome extension that I really like is called Keywords Everywhere. So you install this in Chrome and then basically like I'm looking at my screen right now and I searched I went to google.com, searched proposal software for, hit space, no enter. I learned that tip from Will Reynolds of Seer Interactive. And I see like proposal software for contractors, for Mac, for small businesses. And the one proposal software for Mac has some searches per month. I can see what the cost per click is. I can see the difficulty as well. So it's a free tool that basically if you search any term, so I search like proposal software for contractors, it'll show me, if there's any search volume, it might just be 0. And then I, obviously see all of the ads there and it tells me there's no search volume. But I scroll down to the bottom to the recommended ones and it's like, some of this isn't super, Google's related searches aren't great, but like remodeling estimating software, right? Like how much does it cost to remodel 390 searches a month? And I see people are willing to pay on average $11 a click. That's all for free right within my Chrome browser.
What's that extension called?
It's called Keywords Everywhere.
Keywords Everywhere.
And then there's a big like add all keywords button that appears in the bottom right of your screen. And you click that and it saves all those keywords for you. So you can build out a big list that way just for free. I believe it's pulling from AdWords. But it's, it's super specific. It's not, the AdWords tool now is, really it's always just been meant for buying ads. Yeah. SEOs used it, but now unless you're actually spending money on AdWords, it gives you like, this term has searches anywhere from 10 to 1,000 a month. Like,
isn't that helpful?
Well, that doesn't really help. That is not helpful at all because is it 10 or is it 1,000, right? And like that's gonna be a very different decision for me to make. Yeah. The other great thing is keywords everywhere. If you're using Google, so Google Search Console can be great for this as well, right? For keyword research, pulling that up and you can see all of the keywords that you're currently ranking for, which is awesome. If you have keywords everywhere installed, then you can. So Google Search Console does not give you that exact like the keyword volume within Search Console. Keywords Everywhere adds that in there for you. So you can actually be in Google Search Console and they highlight the highest volume ones. So you can say, oh, it looks like we're ranking, I'm driving like a lot of impressions or, very few impressions, but I'm getting good click-throughs for this term. And it has 1,500 searches a month, right? How do I rank that one better? Do you build out a specific page? Do you build more links to it? Like, you can put together your strategy from there, but that helps you to discover more keywords as well.
Super.
So you can get a long ways with just keywords everywhere. And then Ahrefs, I believe I pay him like $100 a month or something like that. But it tracks all of my metrics. And Moz has some good tools as well. They're like their Open Site Explorer for links is really good. And then their Keyword Explorer tool that they launched about a year ago is also quite solid. They use actual clickstream data from a company called JumpShot. So it's like legit, very accurate search volume. They don't have as big of a spread as I would like them to have, especially for lower volume keywords, but it can still get you a good bit of the way there.
Very cool. While we have a couple of minutes, because I want to talk more about the resource that you're working on, can we touch briefly on links? Because I think anybody who's done any kind of preliminary reading on SEO, even if they're not experts, kind of has the idea that links is really what drives Google's page rank, or at least it's a large factor in it. But getting links is a whole other game, and we're always getting bombarded with people we can tell are just being paid to go around to sites and ask you to link to them, and you usually ignore it. Is there a better way?
It's usually a 5-year-old blog post that they're emailing you about, and you're like, I literally forgot that I ever wrote that post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get links these days?
Best way to get links as a SaaS startup, as a SaaS company is, so it kind of depends on your on your stage, but I would say for someone like Proposify, I mean, you guys have a little bit of a brand, right? So it's really doing what once again, borrowing from Will Reynolds, calls real company stuff. He calls it real company shit. But, like you're doing things that real companies do, right? You're producing guides for your, for your customers. You're running, client summits. You're sponsoring conferences, that sort of thing, right? You can get, links for that sort of stuff. And then if you have, someone like yourself that like you're speaking or something like that, using basically, the founder and the stuff that you're out there doing to get links back to your site, even if they're just like non-branded things. Depending on the startup and depending on who the founder is, PR can work really well also. It's not super scalable, but it can get you those big links, right? Yeah. It can get you the, entrepreneur.com. I think those are no followed, but like those links matter. They don't pass probably any page rank or link equity, as I like to call it. But they, they're a signal that you're like an official, you're an official company. Right. Link building can be really, really intensive. The way I like to do it is, and you can even see this on my own site, I produced a bunch of basically ebooks and like big guides about this, for different verticals. E-commerce, real estate. I have one coming up for SaaS. I produced one for marketing executives I launched a couple weeks ago. And basically the best way to do it is produce like the canonical piece for your industry. Right. So maybe for Proposify, it could be about sales because proposals are such a big part about sales, right? And getting to that VP of sales level or director of sales level, basically the person that is most likely to convert, writing that piece of content so that when a sales, person is either starting off or they're getting promoted or something like that, they're like, oh, where do I go? Ultimate guide to sales, right? Or like, I'm sure it's higher up than that. They're gonna have more specific questions, but like they're gonna come across Proposify, right? And that gets you in there. Then take that piece of content and leverage that into podcast appearances, maybe guest posts, getting influencers to share it, that sort of thing. That's the best way to do it. I've actually seen, I have few thousand pages on my site, kind of a directory of like SEO and content and link building, PPC, Facebook ads, et cetera, agencies and consultants. I actually see that the verticals, so like e-commerce, real estate, et cetera, that I have specific guides built out for, I actually rank better for those like, e-commerce SEO agencies pages than ones that I don't, like, healthcare SEO agencies. So there's basically like a topical relevance there because I have links into my site talking about e-commerce, talking about real estate, talking about SaaS, that sort of thing. I think just today I popped to number 1 for SaaS SEO agencies, right? So and I've been producing content about SaaS marketing. Taking into account that topical, relevance there as well is interesting.
If you hadn't had all those pages on your site that are talking about that, you're saying that Google wouldn't weigh that one article as much of an authority if you didn't already have other articles under the same domain about that topic?
Yeah, so these are different types of pages, right? So like my e-commerce SEO agencies page, it's like /biz verticals or biz types e-commerce SEO agencies, like 4 subfolders deep, getting super specific. And each one is, it goes from like all the business verticals down to e-commerce marketing companies, down to e-commerce SEO companies, down to e-commerce SEO agencies, right? So I have that whole taxonomy built out. Wow. And those are categories right there, right? But then I also have content produced around, e-commerce SEO, e-commerce content marketing, link building, et cetera. And so basically what I'm saying is like, I could rank for like e-commerce marketing guide, that sort of thing with that specific page, but then I wouldn't rank for like e-commerce SEO agencies because if I didn't have that specific page targeting it. But what I'm saying is having that content around, e-commerce or whatever vertical it is that you're in, also seems to help those other pages rank better.
That's
topical relevance. It's crazy. I actually didn't really understand it. I've heard it talked about for years. I didn't understand it until about probably the last 4 to 6 months. Because I was looking through, I was like, why am I ranking so well? I'm like, I'm getting so many leads for like e-commerce companies looking for an agency. What's going on? And then I launched the what was it? I launched something else and was like, all of a sudden I popped for those like SEO agency and SEO consultant terms. I was like, wait a minute, like what is happening here? So it like I finally understood it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's deep. You could probably have a whole blog article or a whole podcast episode just about topical relevance, because I think there's a lot to dissect there.
Yeah, there's a lot there. But yeah, I mean, just like, I guess to recap real quickly on links, concentrate on those links that are really going to build your name and build your brand. Those are the ones that Google wants to reward. It's unfortunate that a lot of SEOs have ruined, like the entrepreneurs and the Forbes, Forbes, like that brand used to mean so much and now it means nothing, at least like in my eyes. Yeah. But like those articles can drive, they can drive referral traffic. They can be used to leverage yourself to get, other appearances. You can say like, hey, we've been, featured in, especially there's been like a feature article written about you, right? We've been featured in Forbes and Wired and those sorts of places. Those can help you with getting other coverage as well. And those are the links I think you should really be going after. There have been a few startups that have done really well, like Buffer, for example. Back in the day, Leo Widrich, who's one of the co-founders, who's no longer with the company, he went and wrote, I forget what it was. It was like, yeah, he left the company 6-8 months ago. He went and wrote, gosh, I don't even remember exactly the number, but I think it was in the hundreds of guest posts in a year. Wow. That was their main marketing strategy, and that's how Buffer got to like their first, really good like MRR. Mm-hmm. But he's a writer and he loves to write. He loves to blog. He's a really good blogger. I think Crew did the same thing. Michael over at Crew, no longer at Crew, they're with Unsplash now. But that is a big reason how they were able to grow is through blogging like that, but really like high quality, stuff like that. If you can't invest down that, or you're not a good writer yourself, you don't have the time to be doing it as the CEO or whoever. There are other ways to skin that cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did more probably in the early days too, on any kind of blog that was targeting agency people or marketers or designers or that sort of thing. It's great when your blog doesn't have a lot of traction yet, because if you're starting it from brand new, from scratch, it's pretty disheartening how few people will visit your blog articles. But then you just write a really good article and contribute it to, for this industry, maybe like Smashing Magazine or any other SaaS companies that target marketing agencies. If that's your audience, like it's very, very effective.
Totally. And one of the people I've learned the most about from this just over the last year is Aaron Orendorff. Iconic Content is his Twitter handle. He's now the executive editor, I think, of Shopify Plus. But he's a phenomenal content marketer. I actually had him on my own podcast, video show podcast back in September, October. But he's taught me a ton about, kind of how to write to get eyeballs. As well. So he's one worth checking out if you're a SaaS company, you're a founder, or you're like a CMO or something like that, looking to invest down in like, how do I write stuff that people actually want to share? He's a good one to follow.
It's getting harder and harder to write stuff that people will share as well, right? Social shares, I think, are going down.
It is. I've definitely seen that myself. The content I'm producing now, I think, is way better than it's ever been. And it gets shared a lot less. But when it gets shared in the right places, right, especially I'm very B2B, LinkedIn is incredible for it, right? Twitter is so noisy these days. Facebook is so focused on like personal. LinkedIn is amazing for B2B at this point. So, I've seen it drive literally like 500 email signups to a guide before from like 3 posts. So
I wanted to ask you about Medium, because Medium's becoming more and more popular for people blogging. Is that having an impact on SEO in any way? Is it good if people are linking to you from a Medium post? Is it bad? Like, what are your thoughts?
Definitely not bad. All of their links are no followed. So once again, it's not going to pass link equity. I think that's actually link equity is something that Google's kind of going to have to reckon with, because so many big good sites are no following everything. So it's kind of messing with like them being able to tell what, what should rank, like what's a good vote and what's not. So that's changed. But Medium itself. So when I publish stuff on Medium, I actually publish it on my own site. And then you can take that URL and basically republish that content on Medium. And Medium applies the canonical tag back to your site as well.
Right.
So I basically use it as a promotion mechanism. You're able to get some good traffic to Medium posts if you just publish on there. And some people have. I'm all about own your platform, right? Own your blog. If you're publishing really good stuff, unless it's like, you get the chance to post on to publish on a Shopify or a Smashing Mag or, somewhere like that. But like most of your stuff should go on your own site. And if you want to use Medium as a promotion avenue, it'll automatically link back and won't be bad for your SEO right there. So I personally like Medium. I pay them monthly for their like premium content because I really like them. I like what they've done.
I do too. Yeah,
but there is a lot of noise
to
there.
Support them.
Yeah, so, totally. I think I think they're heading in the right direction. Yeah. And from an SEO perspective, don't be trying to spam links, on Medium. Yeah. At best, think about it as a good like referral traffic and promotion source and not as a link building source.
There's something about Medium that feels like it has a lot of integrity. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It seems like it's very focused on content and journalism and publishing. And it's like they've so avoided anything related to advertising or junk article. There's probably a fair share of junk there too, but you know what I mean? It's they really focused on quality of content, and for that, it's like you almost want to pay them that, however much it is. I think it's like $10 a month.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 or 10. Yeah, and they're really encouraging that as well. I think with that, and I think with them, it's interesting that they're such a design-driven company that in and of itself inherently builds trust. Like I love their editor, like writing an article on there. I actually a lot of times will write articles that I'm publishing on my own site within their editor. Yeah. Like I want them to create like a Mac thick client. It's like the Medium editor that I can just like write stuff in there and then push it to WordPress and Medium at the same time. Yeah. Like that'd be awesome because it's just it's such a nice experience. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's such a nice experience. But I think that's another point. Yeah, and honestly, like I think you guys are doing awesome. From like a design perspective, I actually use y'all as an example in my SaaS guide because like you guys are a SaaS company that really values design. And design is one of those things that like, I call myself a sledgehammer marketer. I'm like, I can drive a lot of traffic, but like, I don't love getting into those details. But once it actually comes down to like converting people and building trust with the user, that's what people actually want to link to. And so if you have a well-designed, site that, it works, the flow makes sense, all of that, and people aren't like, whoa, what am I supposed to do here? That actually helps with, with building the brand. And it's been shown that people are more willing to link to a site like that as opposed to one that is like, oh, this is just some like, solo person trying to, do whatever and maybe steal my money. Yeah. So that's an important thing that a lot of people don't think about.
Let's talk about your guide. I'm really excited for this. So tell me about how you started it and where people can get it.
Yeah, totally. So it is, I've been in the software world for, a while now, running my own company for a few years and worked with a bunch of SaaS companies. And basically what I've realized is there are a lot of companies, like I firmly believe that SaaS is the future, at least of like businesses online. I think it's an area that's really growing. And it's also an area where a lot of founders and the SaaS teams don't value SEO. And there's also a lot of specific advice that, advice for e-commerce isn't going to work for SaaS companies. There's really no good stuff out there. So, having worked across different SaaS companies and consulted with them, et cetera, seeing the challenges of like, marketing site versus logged in app, keyword research, how do we, how do you target specific customers? What is link building? And then even more than that, not just like teaching people how to do it. That knowledge is important, but you can also learn that. More than that, it's how does SEO integrate into a company? And so it's not just like, oh, you should hire someone internally or, oh, you should hire an agency. It's actually more complicated than that. And then once you actually figure out that, then how do you make them successful, right? If you hire a full-time SEO manager, too early, you're basically going to waste your money. If you hire them too late, then I'd rather hire too late than too early, to be honest with you, with SEO, because SEO requires so much. It requires development time, it requires design time, it requires writing time, whether it's on the marketing team or hiring a freelancer. So really, what I talk about after getting through what does technical SEO mean for SaaS companies? What does keyword research mean? What does link building mean? How do you use content to build links and to grow your site through SEO? But then also, how do you make SEO successful within your company, within your culture? How do you set up either an SEO agency or, an in-house SEO person? Once you're ready for that, how do you set them up for success? How do you organize your teams around that? And basically think of SEO as basically a business partner. It's a channel, but it should be like a huge channel for a lot of companies. And you can't just say do your SEO thing. That doesn't work. Especially at a technology company. If you're a technology company and you don't put developers and designers, et cetera, think about it as its own product towards it, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I really want to change the mindset around SEO, especially in the technology world. So that's what I'm aiming to do with this guide. It's going to end up somewhere around 12 to 15,000 words, probably. It's basically a book about SEO within SaaS companies. So I'm super excited about it.
And the title is?
The title is I don't even know. The title is how to do SEO for SaaS companies or something like that.
I put you on the spot there.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's going to be getcredo.com/SaaS-SEO-guide.
Got it. And there will be links if you don't remember that. If you're listening to this on the bus or the subway, you can always go to this episode on proposify.com/podcast, the episode with John Doherty from Credo, and links to all this stuff, to the guide and to all the different things we were talking about will be in the show notes. Really excited to have people check that out and give us some feedback, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, thanks. It's going to be awesome. And I have some other stuff coming out around it as well, like doing some teardowns of some companies. So that's called the SaaS Guide to Search Engine Optimization is what it's called.
Teardowns, man. Oh, that's brilliant.
Teardowns. So I'm taking some SaaS companies that I use, that I love, and basically going through and being like, hey, you migrated and migrated domains and all these things happen, so you should fix these and you're going to get your traffic back. Here's an opportunity for you. So I'm actually really excited about those. So those will be on the blog as well.
That's amazing. I was just thinking Samuel Hulick, I think, user onboarding, does these great SaaS user onboarding teardowns.
He does.
Addicted to those. I think that's a brilliant idea to do SaaS SEO teardowns. I can't wait to read that.
Yeah.
Do you know who your first one will be?
First one is drip.com.
Interesting.
Yeah, they have an interesting one because they moved from getdrip.com to drip.co to drip.com in about a year's time. And there's some really interesting learnings. It was a really fun one to do. And then I'm going to do one for Groove. I'm going to do one for Zapier. And I have a few others as well. So those will be coming out as well.
Awesome. Can't wait to check those out. Thank you so much for being on the show, John.
Kyle, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thanks for listening to the Proposify Biz Chat with Kyle Racky. For more episodes, check us out on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. Click subscribe to get updated on the latest episodes, and be sure to rate and review.